Apparently, of the corrupt people leading the Afrinic organization, one of them thinks they're God, wanting to control the world from their chair, thinking that they can own people and their usage of internet. It's funny in a way that these men literally want to steal your freedom of internet. One of them saying, and we quote his actual words, "These internet IPs are all mine." Yes, it's not a joke. These words were one of the leaders of this corrupt organization said. They claim they have the right to control people's use of internet, making them report to it and controlling their access by saying what they can expose on the internet and what they can't. The thing is, Afrinic, represented by its board, are not just saying words. They really do believe in their right to control people's usage of the internet. How do we know that, you ask? Their mindset and actions make that very clear. As the corrupt people leading the Afrinic organization completely ignored court orders and the jury's clear instruction, while at the same time they claim that all their actions are absolutely ethical and legal. Well, we can assure you that there is nothing legal about ignoring court orders. That's for sure. Every 6-year-old child knows that. Let us tell you the story so you have a clear understanding of what's going on. Afrinic board has completely ignored a court order preventing its board from acting in any matter whatsoever on its board resolution dated 8th of July 2021. And that was taken following the judgment dated July 7th, 2021 by the Honourable Judge. That was subject to an appeal filed on 8th of July 2021, which had the effect of terminating the membership of one of its major members in the Afrinic with immediate effect. It was blatant disrespect from Afrinic board towards an Honourable Judge, as the judge issued an order with no confusing words whatsoever. And the minutes of proceedings as for that court session will testify to the fact that the CEO of Afrinic was warned by the Honourable Judge of the consequences of the breach of her orders, which were converted into an undertaking. And that was undertaken by Afrinic, and it was confirmed by both parties. Not only that Afrinic board totally disregarded the court order, but the board of Afrinic ridiculously attempted to accuse one of its major members of offering internet addresses to third parties who engage in child pornography. Desperate to undermine the membership of this major member for no valid reason. Afrinic board have made very vague allegations of child pornography towards one of its major members, with absolutely no actionable information to allow this major member to take remedial action. It's well known by law that to make such allegations, you must have actionable information, and that includes identification of the complaining party, and the complainant should provide a way to be contacted. The specific URL or URLs that are alleged to be the source of the abuse or illegal activity should be identified, i.e., the recipient of the complaint should not have to guess or search through all the websites to understand where the offending material is located or offending activities are being conducted. Activity should be identified with specificity, including identification of the relevant law or regulation alleged to be violated and the applicable jurisdiction where such law or regulation is in effect. If the complaint alleges infringement or violation of an individual or entity's rights under a law or regulation, the report should identify the individual or entity whose rights are alleged to be violated or infringed on, and also disclosed should be the relationship between the complaining party and such rights holder. If a court, regulatory authority, or a law enforcement agency has made a formal determination that abuse or illegal activity is taking place, that formal determination shall be submitted if available. If the abuse report requests the recipient's compliance with a particular law or regulation, the alleged abuse or illegal activity should be set forth. Yet, fashionably, Afrinic's board has not only refused to disclose any actionable information, but it's also refusing to follow the proper procedures set up by consensus and contractually agreed as per Clause 8 of its Consolidated Policy Manual. The disrespect does not stop there. Afrinic's letter to this major Afrinic member of 1st of December 2021, which includes an attempt to terminate their membership, itself is an obvious deliberate breach of its own undertaking to fully comply with the Honourable Judge's order. They also refused to process this major member's membership fees for the year 2022 and reversed it back, as if the first action wasn't disrespectful enough to the court orders. You would think that Afrinic's unlawful actions would stop there. But when someone thinks of themselves as the controller of the world, they can do any awful thing to prove that. The leaders of this corrupt organisation have hired IT expert Mr. Neil Roland Hare Brown, CEO of Storm Guidance, just to conduct a false analysis into this major member's Internet Protocol address routing information. Mr. Hare Brown, who has been hired by Afrinic's board especially to support Afrinic's false allegations against this major member, swore an affidavit in which he made the following false and malicious statements. 1. Mr. Hare Brown stated that analysis of a random sample of 1,010 websites hosted by this major member shows a notable percentage, 68% of active sites hosting adult content or pornography. This affirmation is impossible to be true for the following reasons. There are no websites hosted on infrastructure under the control of this major member or using the addresses in question. There are no websites hosted by this major member's infrastructure. In fact, this major member has virtually no infrastructure. This major member has over 6 million IP addresses and is serving 5 continents with millions of websites on its IP addresses. So his claim of this random survey sampling of 6,000 and finding what is claimed is beyond common sense. It is an outright lie. The second false affirmation that Mr. Brown made, trying to insinuate that this major member is breaching its service agreement with Afrinic, saying that while they're not allowed to lease IP addresses outside Africa, the majority of its hosting is outside the African region. This affirmation is also false, just because as there are no geographical restrictions in the service agreements signed by both parties. And lastly, Mr. Brown stated in his finding that based on a random sampling of IP address space, pornography and gambling sites constitute the vast majority of websites hosted by an entity which he understands to be closely related to this major member. This affirmation especially is malicious, and that's because this major member does not have any website. This major member has no control over the use of IP addresses which his clients lease to the ultimate user, just like any utility has no control over how users use their water or electricity. This major member and its clients are prevented by law from interfering with the use of IP addresses of the ultimate user. If Afrinic's claims are true, then no telecom or ISP can operate in the entire world. Because if you serve a client base of a nation's size, it's quite natural that there may be criminal activities among some of your customers, just like criminal activities are not fully preventable in any country. For example, if a water supply company is held responsible for one of their customers' criminal behaviors, and as a consequence, they can no longer provide water to any of their customers, their other customers may die of thirst. How does this make sense if only one of their customers is found to be engaging in criminal activity? Does it justify for them to stop the supply to the rest of their customers? And the key question is, who gave Afrinic the power to leverage this essential utility of modern society to control the world? If Afrinic can leverage such a power, they are the ultimate god to decide every subject of our society by leveraging their monopoly on this essential part of the internet. We must stop them now.